So Bill, Steve, welcome to Table Talk. So we're going to dive into, on Table Talk in general, we look at diving into some of the stories and insights kind of behind family businesses and their journeys. So today I'm excited to be joined by you both and learn a little bit more of the journey that you've been on together, both as a family, but as businessmen as well. And, learning about how you grew B&B Demolition to kind of the sale of that, and then into starting the Mosaic group of companies, the Mosaic Home Services group of companies. And so your story is really just kind of the testament of kind of the vision and resilience and kind of that really comes from being a family business. So welcome, Bill, Steve. Maybe why don't you start by introducing yourself for those maybe unfamiliar with your story or with your journey. Just kind of talk a little bit about kind of who you are and what you do today. Maybe we'll start with you, Steve.
Sure. My name is Stephen Knight. I'm the creator of solutions and opportunities at Mosaic Home Services, one of the founding partners of that business. Day to day, it's my job to lead our organization in terms of growth across the country. This year, we're super proud to expand from Halifax all the way to Vancouver with franchise locations in 3 of our 8 different brands. It's my job to lead the team and to find ways to constantly outmarket and outcompete our local competitors in different markets and deliver value wherever we can.
Nice. And you guys kind of do things in a whole bunch of different home services, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So it's like I see like screens and Christmas lights or all season lights, and there's like the lawn care and snow removal, which I'm guessing is big this time of year, especially with the last week or so.
Yeah. So we have 7 different verticals or industries, subsegments of the home improvement industry that we're in, ranging from some of them that you mentioned, screen windows and doors, holiday lighting and decor, painting, fencing, asbestos testing and demolition, maid service, and window care, window washing. Really, though, at our core, what we do is we listen to our customers. We don't enter a new vertical in the market unless our clients are giving us that feedback that it's a service that they already use or that they already hire. Every year, we're asking our clients what they need, and we're simply responding to what they tell us and adding verticals whenever it makes sense.
Okay. So basically, you know customer service and you know the home and commercial care maintenance space, and you listen to the demand of your loyal customer base.
That's right.
Sweet. Okay. Bill, let's turn over to you. Maybe tell us a little bit about you and your journey so far.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. By all means, I really appreciate it. I'm creator of culture and accountability at Mosaic. So, my day-to-day role is I really problem solve. So that comes to me, and when things come up, I get to work more hands-on, more in the field with the guys or girls and people in the field. I enjoy that aspect of it. I'm always the why. Why does that happen? Why does that work? And I need to understand that. That's the way I think. That's the way I learn.
Nice.
And then I handle the franchise sales across the country. So Grace and myself, we do all the franchise shows. We'll go there, and so when potential franchisees are doing it, they're actually meeting one of the owners of the company, and we can lay that down and say, yeah, we're here to work it. We want to help you on your entrepreneurial journey next in life, and provide. They come out looking for a business so they can provide for their families. Mm-hmm. And we really enjoy the fact that we get to meet them face to face the first time and really have those in-depth, meaningful conversations. And we take that journey, that customer journey down the line to the point where they end up buying the franchise, and we support them from there on out.
Nice. So Bill, when you started B&B, and this goes way back to maybe the 1980s or so, if I got that right, what kind of started, or what motivated you to start that business, and what was it like on the early days with, starting that business, maybe, a couple of years after a new, starting a family? Take us back.
Sure. Funny, I haven't thought about that story for a long time. I started as a laborer. I came out to Alberta. I came to Alberta for a funeral, and I ended up meeting my wife at the funeral. And we always say the first place we say hello is the last place we'll say goodbye. So it's kind of our inside joke. But I had no intention of staying in Alberta. I was just trying to make plane fare to fly back to Ontario. So I ended up taking a job as a laborer, working on the the hospital, the Royal Alex Hospital downtown. And, I was not a lot in life going on, a grade 9 dropout, so not a lot of opportunities out there knocking down my door. So I was swinging the sledgehammer, and I worked my way up, and, one thing happened to another. And Grace and I, the dating turned into love, and love turned into a relationship, or vice versa, I guess. Relationship turned into love. And we ended up getting married. And then, next week we ended up getting pregnant, and I realized that I could not raise a family on $9 an hour. So, I'd be working as a laborer during the day and selling vacuum cleaners door to door at night. So that's how old I am. We still had door to door salespeople. So I ended up putting myself through night school at NAIT for CET. And back when you could challenge things, because I didn't have a high school diploma, so I could go in and challenge these courses and put myself through. And I learned how to estimate and go from there. And I started this. I had this opportunity to start a demolition company with my aunt and uncle. They came to me. My aunt was working for me, and they said, why don't you ever do this for yourself? And I had just worked myself into a good job. At that point, it was early 90s. And I was doing okay. I was working for a company, and I never thought of that. And they started planting the seed, so I went into business with them and took all the money we had in the world, which was very little. I think we had about $3,000, and I went into business for them. And things started working out really well. We had a lot of work. And like anything in life, greed comes along. And on December 15th, almost a year into it, they fired me and walked me out the door.
Oh, wow.
So I left that day and not sure what I was going to do. We had no money, new house, brand new child, and broke. And I borrowed $7,000 from a friend. And I started this company called B&B Demolition, bigger and better. Okay. And we never looked back. We were determined to grow. And a year after that, I forced them out of business, and they closed, and we just continued to escalate.
And so, Stephen, you kind of grew up around B&B and the demolition business. What was it like kind of watching your dad lead and build this business? And did you always kind of think you were going to do this? You were going to be like Dad?
I don't know if I ever had the thought I'm going to be like Dad, but I knew that I loved every conversation about the business. It's something that I kind of thrived on. When people ask me, I say I never had a kitchen table. I had a boardroom table, and I got to sit down and, at family dinner, hear about customer A or problem B, or I just got to get ensconced in it. And I remember vividly, I was probably, 8, and I was trying to teach my grandma how to turn the computer on so she could invoice. So I always got to be involved in it, and to this day, I'm very grateful for that, because I got the MBA experience of seeing it built from ground up from the time that I was shorter than this table.
So you always thought that you would be involved in something entrepreneurial, but didn't really know if it was going to be demolition, or didn't know if it would be with your dad? Absolutely.
And I was very grateful that my first job was pulling nails out of boards for a nickel a nail in the back shop. I got the opportunity whenever I wanted to, or whenever I needed to be involved in the business. I got the opportunity to go try stuff. Yeah. And that really helped me through my schooling, through high school, through university, because I got to learn theory and immediately go try and apply it and learn about what worked and what didn't. And I had my own little entrepreneurial journeys when I was in high school, university. Before social media marketing was a whole industry, I would go to little companies and say, hey, I'll get you on Facebook. And there were just lots of entrepreneurial opportunities in my life, thanks to the experience that my dad had in terms of building his business and getting to learn from that experience.
Nice. So Bill, I think, and I'm trying to remember, so the B&B and I think maybe Mosaic as well, kind of hard work and integrity are always kind of the key values that, I've found a couple, like you always seem to talk about those things. How did those values, or maybe other ones, if those aren't the right ones, shape the company's culture and the reputation in the industry, and kind of your reputation as an individual and as a business family?
That is a lot of questions. It's interesting, right? I mean, a lot goes into business, and anybody that's in business a lot goes into it to make it happen every day. I don't think there's any secret sauce. Many people would disagree with me. I think you really just got to work harder than your competition in all aspects of it. So you got to work harder to keep your customer happy, work harder to retain your staff, work harder to find the next deal, work harder to be innovative and keep moving forward. And what's the easier way to do things? You just need to get up each day and work harder. And if you do that, it works, you know, and everybody talks about the success side of it. B&B we had a great run, don't get me wrong. Like in what we accomplished in 16 years was unheard of. We went from, you know, I was lucky. I got my first job at West Edmonton Mall, and I remember Don looking at me in the face and saying, "If you can finish this job, I'll pay you the day you're done." And I couldn't make payroll. I had no money to make payroll, but we did everything we could. We finished that day. I walked upstairs, and they cut me the check, and I was able to make payroll. And we just kept moving forward. You know, as our careers went, I like to. It's the why question again. I'm always asking why. So we were able to just leaps and bounds overtake our competition, and you know, I bought 3 competitors out along the way, and at one point in time there was no other choice in Edmonton but B&B. Like that was it. Like there was competitors by all means, but you know, we had just such a dominant place in the market that we had established it. You know, and everybody talks about the good side, but there's lots of bad that comes with that too. There's lots of things I mean, I didn't have the healthiest instead of going to the gym and working out each day, I took bad habits on, and that probably wasn't a great outcome for the business in the end.
So what was it, kind of that overworking and just being too much in the business? Is that what led to the decision to sell B&B? Or like, tell us about that a little bit. Yeah,
you know, B&B was a staged exit. I had a group coming along to me 5 years prior to me exiting. And, you know, Stephen was still a young man, and I said, you know, I'm looking at taking this deal. Is this maybe a company you might want to take over someday? And as much as we sat at the kitchen table, we always had a no TV conversation at dinner. So there was always conversation, the 3 of us. There's only 3 of us, so it's a small family, right? You know, he got to see it, but he also got to see the weeks where his dad wasn't home and the addictions that came along with that, and the endless hours and that. So I'm asking a 17 or 16-year-old kid if he wants to take that business over, and, you know, in the mind, they're seeing that. So he said no, he didn't. So we entered a relationship with this group, and about 4 years into it, we realized it wasn't a good marriage. Okay. And I ended up being bought out on December 15th of 2015.
And a reoccurring date there.
Yeah, it was quite creepy.
Okay. And how did you feel kind of stepping away from what you had built?
At first, I realized I had lost my identity. It was a real journey. You know, I had put so much time into it, and I was really lost. I was completely lost. I didn't know what to do when I got up in the morning. I found myself driving around the city looking at job signs, wondering how that was going to happen, what was going to do. And then I took a life journey. My wife and I were in Spruce Grove, and we bought a small little RV and called Stephen and said we were leaving, and we traveled for a year down the Highway 1 to Tijuana and across Route 66, and took 10 months or 12 months and just reestablished life. Okay. And then from there, it was looking at what's the next opportunity that you're looking for, or what was the next business you wanted to do, or? No, because, you know, you never wait. So while we did that, we acquired this one little company called Screensavers, and Stephen was running it day to day, and that started in a little shed out in Winterburn. And we would talk occasionally when I could get cell service or whatnot. And Stephen was definitely there, hands on the. I was distant and trying to get my health back and get my sanity back. And he was running it, but we were having these conversations throughout it. And it's like, you know, great business, but it's never gonna be a business, if that makes sense. You know, it's a hobby. It's not gonna be there. So he started taking other businesses into it. He started growing other businesses. So by the time we had done our journey, I came back, and Stephen had 4 companies established by that point.
By 2020. Yeah, I want to say we probably had 5 or 6. I'd have to look at the chart, but it was just all feedback from clients. What else can we do for you? Okay.
So Stephen, thinking back to kind of that B&B and exit, and maybe that conversation with your dad and Grace, what was kind of your experience during that process? How did you feel about being involved, and how did that prepare you for, you know, the entrepreneurial journey that you were going to go on?
That is a lot of questions.
I like big questions, apparently.
Yeah, I can still remember the day, actually, when it was that final piece of the transaction in 2015. I remember I was sick as a dog, and I was over at their house, and I was 22, and we were having the final conversation about, are we doing this or are we not? And I just remember thinking, I valued my contribution to the business. I valued the opportunity to be involved in the conversation. I valued the fact that my opinion mattered. But I always knew that I wanted to do something that I put my stamp on. And I don't know if that was simple youth naivety or vanity or what it was, but it was one of those things where I was just very proud of what my dad and my mom had built. And it simply felt like it wasn't necessarily mine to take over. It was something that they and I worked very, very hard at. But sometimes when life comes along with an opportunity, you have to take it. And frankly, I think the thing that I was feeling the most was excitement to get into something that is a little bit different, a little bit new, and apply what I had learned in a different way.
Yeah, it's almost that excitement for the ability to co-create something opposed to taking over something.
Yeah, and it's not to say that one is better or worse. It's just something that had driven me to say, what can we do that's different? There's 20 years of experience in this specific industry. Is there something that we've learned that can be applied in a different way?
Okay. What were some of those things that you learned at B&B, and this is maybe a question for both of you, that you applied in this new business?
The list is very long,
Okay.
but I think the most important is just that if you're not looking after your customer, someone else is. And it's very, very important to me that we get as much feedback about the client experience, not just in how did the job go, but what was the experience in buying? What was the experience in finding us? What was the experience before you even thought about the product you needed?
Yeah.
Because if we're not thinking about those things, then somebody else is.
Yeah. Bill, anything come to mind for you?
Yeah, I never wanted to be in a market again that didn't have at least $1 billion worth of capability. B&B was a great business. Don't get me wrong, I loved it, and it gave lots back to the community. It was a good pillar. It supported many families and them throughout it. It was great. There's no better pride or proud moments go through your head when you can look out your office window and you see that all of a sudden there's newer cars in the driveway, or they're starting talking about the newer houses they're getting, or you're watching kids. So to me, that was an accomplishment throughout it, because it wasn't just me getting ahead. It doesn't do any good if I'm sitting on the beach alone. I want everybody to be on the beach with me.
Yeah.
But it was capped by territory. Like B&B was great in Edmonton.
Okay.
I couldn't reestablish that in Calgary. Maybe over time I could have, or we could have expanded that. But with Mosaic, my possibility is endless. Like B&B was, as long as you needed demolition, you needed me. Mosaic, there's so many different services. There's so many different opportunities, so many different veins to draw money from. My customer base is so much larger. I never want to be in something where my customer base is capped like that ever again.
Yeah, makes sense. And what took you towards the franchise model? It's pretty different than kind of what I understood about B&B. So what created that leap?
So we never bought into screensavers being the first one to run it. Like, that wasn't our dream. We were going to be, angel investors, and we we're going to invest in these companies and help grow them, not be in them. And then, one thing led to another, and next thing you know, you're in there day to day running it, and you're watching it grow from, a small storage shed to tens of thousands of square feet and product and across the country. And if we could do that, I knew nothing about a screen window. Like, I didn't even know the screen. Like, I haven't opened my windows in my house ever. I have an air conditioner. Like, sorry, that comes out wrong, but like, I didn't know how to build a screen. But if we could figure out how to build a screen, well, somebody else could. And if we have a need for a screen, well, somebody else probably has a need for a screen. So when we started looking at other businesses, you get in there, you understand it, and think, okay, if this is providing me a living, and the people that we have as a living, we have over 100 teammates now, just in the Edmonton area. Yeah. If that can provide a living for them, well, there's a part. We just put business in a box and take it out to somebody else, and now you can help build their dreams, because that's what entrepreneurship's about. Yeah. Is being able to give that gift to other people and let them run with it.
Yeah, it's almost going back to the previous comment about the new cars in your parking lot, of being able to help others kind of grow as their family wealth and their family opportunities as well.
Absolutely, that's where the real value comes in, is when we all strive, like, society becomes better.
Nice. Stephen, when you're thinking about kind of Mosaic Group, becoming a bit of a leader in the property and home services, what opportunities kind of led to the creation of that? And then how do you bring the team together to execute on that? So if it's about, looking at the service and solving your customer's need, how did you build a team to do that?
How did I build a team to do that? For us, it was about finding people who fit culturally and with values alignment first. And that's, a very stereotypical boxed answer that any entrepreneur is going to tell you, but I'm going to be honest with you, Matt, that's the answer. You need to find a team of people who might not have the skills, might not have the experience, might not have ever worked in home improvement before or property maintenance before. But if they can look at a problem and align the solution with the values that your company exhibits and that your customers find value in, it becomes a very simple problem to solve. So we've developed a team at Mosaic of people who are constantly looking out to the market for feedback from clients, but also looking at competitors and saying, how does our value proposition, how does our product offering, how does our service offering differ in good ways and bad? Mm-hmm. And how can we really distill down the market to our core group of clients that find value in the things that we offer and do better than anybody else at achieving those? And when we started to really focus on those key questions and align people around those challenges, it became a simple solution. And now we're applying that with franchisees to say, let's find franchisees that fit those values. And you're seeing the ones that are strongly aligned really take off.
Yeah. Nice. And Bill, what has it been like for you kind of being part of kind of the vision of some of this, but I think in many ways, maybe stepping aside and letting Stephen run with the day-to-day and some of the leadership decisions? What has that been like for you, both, some of the frustrations, but also some of the, I'm sure there's been some proud moments in there as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of proud moments. Stephen and I are two very different people. I'm a bull in a china shop. Let's run in. And Stephen he'll sit back and think about it and plan it and have a strategy and go with it from there. So for me, it's a learning experience. I love it. At first it was a little bit tough to step back and let somebody else make those decisions. But now I really, really thoroughly enjoy it. I love the fact I haven't signed a payroll check in 5 years. I have no clue what's in the bank account. I couldn't tell you who our lawyer is. I couldn't tell you any of that. But I could tell you the names of every one of our team members. So I'm really passionately doing what I like to do. That's what I enjoyed doing. I'm a boots on the ground kind of guy. I like getting out there and understanding that. Some of the best conversations I have is when I'm at a customer's house helping hang lights and they're talking to me about the company. They have no idea I own the company. None whatsoever. And it's perfect because that's where you get your best information.
Yep.
It's just true. Here it is. And I would say at B&B, my biggest downfall is my ego got in the way. And here my ego's checked at the door. It's okay. And I really love it. So I love the fact that I have trust and faith in Stephen. And, like anything, I've learned more from my mistakes in life than I ever have my successes. So I actually enjoy when he makes a mistake. I enjoy when he sees that look at his face. He's like, oh, yeah. So those are really great moments. Those are proud moments. I'm happy to watch it. We had the privilege, I guess you could say, and I'll use that term loosely, of guiding this business through COVID. Mm-hmm. This is a business that are in people's houses. If we're not in people's houses, we're not in business. Yeah. And I've been in business for over 30 years as an independent, as an entrepreneur. The hardest day of my life ever was having to walk people upstairs one at a time and lay them off. Yeah. Over and over and over again. But there was this shining light because everybody kept saying, and you didn't know because you had to listen to whatever popped up on the radio at 9 a.m. in the morning. You had to do exactly what was said, so you couldn't tell it. But people kept saying, hey, can I work from home? Can I? And we're like, we don't know how to pay you. And they're like, it doesn't matter, we'll figure it out. So it was really spectacular when we were able to, and we started bringing these people back one at a time, over time. And then we knew we were onto something great. And then I knew the leadership was spectacular because people were like, no, I'll work for free. Yeah. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, Stephen, you're on the right path.
If people trust that you're going to do the right thing and they're willing to do it for free until you figure it out, I don't think there's a bigger compliment you can get than that.
Absolutely not. And if they're willing to do that, then God willing, I'm certainly. They'll follow a leader into anywhere if they believe in you. And those people, every one of them just believed in him. And I'm just like, you are doing the right thing here. So it was really great to watch that happen. So those my takeaways.
And you mentioned something at the beginning of that about kind of checking your ego. And does that have to do with kind of the non-traditional titles that you both have?
Yeah, that was actually out of a book for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and it was I really wish I could remember it because I love to read, and the title's just escaping me right now. But was talking about their journey as they help these kids, and like director was so they're granting less wishes for children, so they needed to bring something into their organization. So we adopted that, and it was fantastic. It really makes it move. So when people come to the team now, the first thing is we need you to pick out your title, and they're like, well, CFO, and we're like, oh well, why don't we take a little bit deeper look at what you do, or what do you want to do, or how does that apply to you? And if you let them create that, I feel that they're just you can watch the change in a person,
and a lot more kind of ownership with that too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's kind of the coolest title that has been created so far? And you can't say either of yours.
We've got one now that I really enjoy, and I'm going to screw it up, of course. But it's lighting brilliance director, and it's somebody leading our holiday lighting division, and she does a fantastic job. But that's it was a long conversation to say, well, what are we actually doing every day? We're not managing. We're not doing the X, Y, Z. We're delivering this experience and this brilliance to somebody's home or property.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Any other ones come to mind for you, Bill?
It's always funny. You get put on the spot. I'm looking at it. I'm thinking nothing draws to my attention, but everybody's got these great titles, and I'm sorry. I'm just drawing a blank. But
that's good.
Yeah.
So switch gears a little bit again. So Stephen, what's been kind of one of the lessons you've taken from your dad and how he's built companies over the years that you like to try and apply? And I know you're also trying to find your own path as well.
Yeah, there's been an endless number of lessons, and I've attempted to implement or run with them as best as I possibly can. I think one of the things, in one of the ways that we're very different, is that I'm a bit of a tactician. I'll take my time and I'll make a plan, and Bill is that bull in a china shop by all means. Like, we're picking a direction and we're going right now, and it might be the wrong one, but it doesn't matter. And I've had to apply that myself a few times, and it is definitely not a natural skill set. But I found that I've learned more through the experience of saying, "Oh, we don't have all the information. Let's just try," than any other way necessarily. Whether that's ask for the big contract, ask for the big financing, ask for the big because you don't know what you're going to get. So that's definitely a trait that I don't naturally have, but I've definitely learned to apply.
Yeah. Nice. And Bill, what about you? What have you learned from Stephen over the years?
Patience.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely patience. That is the big thing. Like I just love the fact I like to watch him think, and it's. Like, I can just sit there and I know there's 1,000 different thoughts going on, and he'll map it out and look at it and say, okay, and it's a skill I don't have. Like, I work on it. I want to be better at it. I want to do it. We're going this way, and we'll figure it out when we get there, and we'll just keep moving. And it's not always right, but it's always adventurous.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think it kind of suits the titles that you both have pretty well, in that you can't really build culture through spreadsheets or analyzing, but you also can't really make some of those bigger decisions without analyzing them. You can, but it's challenging sometimes to go back and forth there.
It is, and we've established the team. Like, the team is so large now. Like, you can see one of the light installers, and you sit down and talk to him or her, and they're you can tell they don't really enjoy it, but they have so many great skills. So you're able to have that conversation and move them into a different position and watch them develop into that. So it's great to just be able to do that, right? Just watch people develop
and start to kind of find where people fit, and really those cogs and kind of behind the running of the business that helps it grow. So as you're thinking about the future of Mosaic Group, What does that look like, both big picture and then also, because this is a family business podcast, I know, Bill, you mentioned grandkids, and that there's only 3 of you, so that leads me to be pretty confident in the fact that Stephen has kids. Are they going to join Mosaic Group? Do they already, kind of provide, your dad or your mom with tech support on the computers?
Not quite. They're just figuring out iPads now. I've got 2 beautiful daughters. One is 3 and one is 5 months. They're not in the business yet. However, we were screwing some light bulbs in the other day, which is more fun than anything. But it would give me great joy to see them involved in some way in the future. But at the end of the day, the path is theirs, and the degree to which they opt in is really up to them. In terms of the future of Mosaic, we're only going to continue to grow and add more locations and add more franchisees from coast to coast, and we're very excited. Obviously, it's been a great year this year. It's going to be a great year next, and we're just excited to continue to see the models that we've worked so hard to develop be applied in so many other markets across the country.
Okay. I'm going to ask another question that's going to put both of you on the spot because I just thought of it. What's kind of both your favorite product line or service line today? So the favorite problem that you solve, and what's the biggest one that you don't solve today that you really think you should be doing?
You're going on that one.
My comfort in me would say that demolition. We do have a demolition company, so I know that industry very well. I know it inside out, upside down. So it's definitely where my comfort zone is. But my favorite is really the Christmas light, 5-star holiday decor. Like, I love watching it come to creation. Like, I've seen a reality show on everything. I think 5-star should be the next reality show, because if you can do it on fish tanks or you do it on this or that, what this business creates and the happiness it brings is spectacular. Like, I love watching people smile. It's great. Each year we do a house for charity, and neighbors nominate a neighbor for that. So when you go and you talk to these people and they're like, yeah, and you get some pretty heartfelt stories of why they nominated their neighbor, and you light up their house, and that brings me happiness. It brings me a lot of joy. When I fill other people's bucket, it brings me happiness.
Yeah, and that one can, like, lights bring so much, like, both in terms of safety, but also in terms of that, like, emotional, feeling of happiness and joy. Like, it can bring so much to a street or a house. And then, so we'll have you answer that question next, and then we'll go to what should you be doing?
Yeah,
or could.
Matt, all of our brands are my favorite.
They're kind of like asking you to pick a favorite kid.
Yeah, they're all unique in their own way, but the thing that ties them together is that emotional appeal that somebody comes to their home, whether it's after a long day of work and they see it lit up for the holidays, or something as simple as, my backyard is secured with a new fence. I can go do whatever I want back there. The paint job looks beautiful. There's so many ways that we impact emotion in clients, whether it's feeling that joy of a lighting display, or that safety of an enclosed space, or the excitement of a place that we've demolished and it's coming in for something new. I love to see that in every client. That said, holiday lighting is one of the things that is always exciting for me, specifically from a municipal level. We do a lot of work with small town Alberta, small town BC, where it's like, you're watching the Grinch Stole Christmas and they're lighting up the tree. It's like, we get to deliver that. That's a really special experience that we're excited to have.
Cool. And I know this is a weird question because you've probably thought about a lot of these, but like, what's the next thing that you think you could do? It doesn't mean you're going to do it. Doesn't mean you have to.
I can answer this.
Yeah.
At some point, Mosaic, we still operate. We only franchise 3 of the 7 brands.
Okay.
So there's a lot of other daily data pieces moving on it. At some point, Mosaic will switch to a full franchise, and that's all they'll do. That's what we should be really working on right now. That's what we should be establishing. We should be stepping back from the day to day and working on that big picture. We're at a goal to have 30 locations this year. We're 3 away. We want to have 45 next year.
Okay.
But when I talk when I talk reality show, I really believe that's what we should be doing is reality show. I see it. I can envision it. Like, that's the big picture. we've applied for Dragon's Den a few times, but they keep saying no to us, so they're lost. But you know, it's just there's such a huge potential for it. Like if we can get 45 locations out the door next year, that's where we want to be. But in order to do that, we got to start spending more time on it and not in it.
Yep.
You know, you're dealing with some smaller issues that we need to say, okay, you go deal with that, and we're going to go work on this.
Yeah, it's the systems and processes, and yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to get that?
I would echo that, Matt. The only thing that I would add is that we listen to our market, we listen to our customers, and there's always little things that we're doing every year to say, is there a product line that we can add? Is there a service line that we can add? If our client base is telling us that that's where we need to go.
Yep.
And we made a lot of little changes over the years about, change product A or change product B, but it's always market driven, and it will never not be.
Yep. Okay. So kind of on that same kind of theme of next generation, what advice would you give to other families or other father-son duos that are looking to start a business or go into business together?
I think one of the things that has allowed us to be successful is, as business partners and as a family, is simply creating boundaries where work doesn't permeate. Yep. So, some things that we do, we have breakfast every Friday, right? And as much as we don't talk about work, every now and then you have a comment that kind of slips in, but we make a conscious effort to talk about other things. And we noticed that, or I've noticed that as my wife and I have welcomed children to our family, it's very much about personal around the kids.
Yep.
I'm sure that will change as they age, but it's about creating safe spaces where we're not talking about the business, we're not talking about this fire, we're not talking about X, Y, Z. We're just here talking about ourselves or our families or what's going on.
Yeah. Nice.
The only thing I'd add to that, Stephen, is I believe we have Grace, Stephen, and myself. We stay in our own lanes, and it's very clear. Stay in your lane. If I say I have it, I have it. Or if Stephen, Grace, just trust in the process and let them run with it. But stay in your own lane.
Okay. And is that just like accountability? Is that role definition?
It's both. It would be accountability and role definition. It's okay to put your hand up and say, "Hey, I need help." In fact, we encourage that. Please do that. But if you say you got it, I'm not sticking my. I'm not. It's not a toe in. Like you're a foot in, and away you go. So
do the three of you have detailed job descriptions with KPIs?
We have clear lanes.
Okay.
We have clear goals.
By nature of the business, especially through COVID, and as we've come out of COVID into this new world, and as we've expanded franchise location, our roles, just naturally as any business owner would experience, have had to change pretty considerably. So it's about having transparent conversations when it's somebody's dropping the ball or it's unclear who's accountable for what. It's about sitting down and saying, okay, who's got this?
Yeah.
And as a result, no, we don't have clearly defined job descriptions, KPIs, because our business is growing at a pace where if we put one in, next month we'd be reviewing it.
Okay. Cool. So one of the questions I like to kind of wrap things up with a little bit is just, in terms of, what's been the biggest opportunity for learning, whether it was a business book or course or seminar. It doesn't have to be from maybe a FI. And I know, Bill, you've kind of been a lifelong learner where you go through different business books all the time. So if there's like one book that you had to recommend to someone, what would it be?
I like anything written by Malcolm Gladwell. Big fan.
Yep.
Big fan. But if I looked at what helped to get me here today, I could unconditionally say EO. I would say my form group, the organization as a whole, it's given me opportunities that I would never have in life. I went to London Business School to study, MIT, Harvard, and just the day-to-day experiences where I can sit down and say, hey, I'm experiencing this, what have you done? Or what have you, just to have that mentorship. EO has been unconditionally the biggest learning thing I've ever done in life.
Yeah. So just that value of kind of pure mentorship and peer support and peer learning. Yeah,
peer to peer. It's whatever industry it is. Typically, you're probably experiencing the same problem or the same success.
Yep.
So if we can just have that peer to peer experience, and it just it helps to have somebody to talk to.
Yeah, no, it does.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I would echo that. I joined EO about 5 years ago now. My experience with EO has been very different than Bill's, and I think every entrepreneur that goes into EO is going to have their own experience. I've gotten a lot of value out of the international learning experiences as well. Plug for the U of A. My commerce degree was great. I still use some of the teachings there, to this day. But EO has been an experience where you're not only learning from peers, but also from some of the best professors in the world. And it's been a great experience for me.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I think that's a pretty good place to wrap up. Any kind of closing comments or things you wish you said or wished I asked, or things that have come into your mind?
Not for me. I think it's actually been fun to go down memory lane. By all means, my head's full of thoughts that I haven't thought about for a lot of years. So,
nice.
It's been a good experience for me. Thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah, I very much appreciate your time, and just excited to hear more stories of more business families. Edmonton's a fantastic place with lots of them, so I look forward to listening to more episodes.
Excellent. Well, thank you both very much for being on Table Talk. For those of you who don't know about Table Talk or ABFI, we're here to tell the stories of business families like the Knights. And I do want to make it clear that my last name, which is also Knight, has nothing to do with the other tribe of Knights that I'm with right now. So there's no nepotism that got them here to the table today. And really what ABFI does on top of this podcast, we work with business families on succession and governance and talking about leadership and talking about developing the next gen, and just so happy to have guests and the opportunity to share their stories. We also have a next gen peer group that we're launching right away that's come back, both with the something we used to do a long time ago that people have been asking for, and it was really neat to see that connection of kind of the value of peer groups for both of you and how that's helped to shape your success. So thank you both very much for your time today, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks,
Thank
Matt.
you.
This series is proudly produced by the team at Road 55. Road 55 creates content that connects. For more information, visit our website at road55.ca.